I mean, it's an incredible democratization that everybody can, well, pretty much everybody can now take pictures and send them and sell them, or just even have them published in a newspaper. And it's scary, of course, in a egotistical way. It's scary because, well, before we were the privileged ones with the cameras who go somewhere and take pictures, and then now everybody can do it. The resolution is maybe not that good, but it's going to be solved very soon, and sometimes they get it wrong. And look at Iraq. I think the most important pictures from Iraq have been taken by people with this fairly dubious moral inclination. Why they did it? I mean, they weren't very, like the Abu Ghraib pictures. So it wasn't, you don't have to be the typical liberal Western photojournalist who goes out there to discover the world to take the pictures which may have the biggest impact. So the biggest impact were pictures taken by, I don't know, what they're going to be called, war criminals, or I don't know, soldiers who are under investigation for prisoner abuse, but they took the pictures, and the pictures are great. They're very good pictures. Some of them are very good photographs. And so it's good, and because one of the questions that remains, okay, what will be our role within the next 10 years, 20 years, whatever? Or what are we what's gonna be left for us to do? Okay, we're established and known or whatever, it's a sort of quality control where you know, but when it comes down to the simple individual picture, which doesn't require an author signature or any of this, it can be taken by anybody. So.
Making a picture is not making an image. I mean, you can just push the button and then you get something, but did you get the meaning? The meaning of an event? Still, the meaning means that you have to build the story, you have to think, you have to know how to write. It's like to have a pen. It's not because you have a pen that you are a writer. You can write anything. You can, but maybe your style is not okay. I mean, you will have letters on the paper, but to me the photography is the same. I mean, okay, you were there, you got a picture, it's changed, but it doesn't mean that you tell really the story. So to me it's just that you have what I will call a hot witness. The people were there at the right time where the event happened, but then to have this witness in depth, this meaning and the sense, I mean, photographers are still the one who can do that.
What really scares me with digital is the speed of it, and I'm scared that in many places there might be a tendency for some people to arrive somewhere, shoot, and because you're aware of how fast these images, what the turnaround is, you suddenly find them perhaps in a newspaper, in a magazine, before you've actually had a chance to think about it and understand what you've just seen. So I think there's a great danger that everything is becoming ridiculously fast, and I think in most cases you don't need that speed. I would prefer to wait a little while and to really to understand.
Just because there's so many more cameras out there doesn't mean all of those people have as much credibility as photojournalists. It's sort of like if you go to London, they have Speaker's Square, or Speaker's Corner there. Anybody can just stand up and talk, but that doesn't make him a novelist or a Nobel Prize winner or anything like this. There's 1,000 voices out there, and hopefully you will pick the voices that have credibility, that have experience, that have understanding, and use those more often. I mean, it is interesting to hear what the man on the street is saying. It can contribute, but he can't replace having people that do this all the time either. It's good to have both voices, definitely.
But discussing this development, I'm discussing it also within WordPress Photo, where certain of these images will come to the foreground. Should it be considered photojournalism or not? I think there's always going to be an amateur, and 15 years ago he had a small film camera that finds himself in an X situation where he's the only one and he can make an image that is an important document. What we do is but this is accident. This is accidental. If you look at the picture of the hooded man in Iraq with his hands stretched out, being tortured. This is a very important document, and I call it a document because it's not a photojournalistic approach to things. It's a document, it's accidental. Is it important? Yes, it's very important. But, and that's the danger of this, is that you are getting an image from somebody that you don't know, who has no professional training and maybe no professional ethics. Can you check what happened to the image? Is it manipulated, etc.? I think it's really dangerous if you start, unless you can really verify the situation. I think it's extremely dangerous to see this as a substitute for photojournalism.
Well, I firmly believe that still photojournalism is almost in the end. Within 5 years, every photojournalist will be shooting with a video camera. There's no question about this whatsoever. And the reason is simply economic, that publications need, in order to survive, to be on the World Wide Web. And the World Wide Web is a video medium. And therefore, photographers are going to have to get used to working in video. And their lives will change. The way that they go about photographing will change. And that's a very long subject. As far as cell phones, citizen journalism, that is not, in my mind, any real threat to photojournalism. And the reason is very simple. The citizen journalist with a cell phone may be lucky and be in one place once in his or her lifetime and capture a photograph. A professional photojournalist is in 100 places over the course of 1 year. And the reason is because that is their business. It's what they do. And so a good photographer will take many good photographs in the course of a year. The citizen journalist will be lucky to get one. So no, is the citizen journalist going to compete with photojournalists? No.